This is the story of Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers, Part 1 of 4. Now, where we left off at the end of post-Stormblood, most of the Scions are now unconscious, as their souls are being called by a mysterious man. Also, a team of researchers is looking for a beacon at the Crystal Tower after the mysterious man mentioned it to the hero. Let's get started. At the Rising Stones, Tataru and the hero discuss the Crystal Tower and decide to aid in the search for the beacon.
Well, if it isn't the hero of the hour, maybe you'll change our look. We've found bugger all without you.
Just moments into the search, the hero finds an odd gadget and picks it up.
Now I have you.
Wait, this must be it. The device. Oh, this is supposed to happen.
Throw wide the gates that we may pass.
Safe journey, warrior of light. Find our friends and bring them home.
The hero finds himself flying through the great expanse between worlds, seeing visions along the way.
Your time has not yet come.
He awakens in an unfamiliar land, permeated by blinding light. Greeted by a traveling merchant, he is puzzled when the merchant references nighttime, despite how bright it is all around them. Telling a tale of his grandfather, the merchant mentions that there hasn't been a dark sky in 100 years, as though it's common knowledge. In the distance, the hero sees a massive crystal spire, so he heads that way.
Halt! Every face in this city I know. Yours, I do not.
She says this is the gateway to the Crystarium, and she is the gatekeeper. But a horrific white monster attacks, and she slays it. She refers to it as a sin eater, and notes that it must have just eaten, as it dropped a special ring. Inspecting the ring, the hero recognizes that it belonged to the merchant he spoke to just moments earlier. A strange hooded man approaches, who appears to be a figure of authority, and he says the hero is his guest and should be allowed into the city.
Come with me. I will answer whatever questions you have when we are somewhere more private.
The hero learns that this man is called the Crystal Exarch, and he is the one who summoned the hero. Along the way, the Crystal Exarch says this is the first reflection of the source, but the people of this planet are oblivious to that fact and unaware of the source.
Here in the first, the world has been all but consumed by primordial light.
He says that time flows differently between the worlds, but on the first, it was a century ago that most of the world was destroyed by a flood of light. Since then, the remaining few are under constant threat from the Sin Eaters. The Exarch bridged the rift between worlds to summon the hero in absolute desperation, but he says the worlds are linked, and saving this world will save the source as well. The two of them enter the Crystarium, a vibrant city filled with those defiant against the end of their world. The hero takes a moment to tour the city and learn the customs of the people here. As the first was not entirely destroyed, he learns that the small bit that remains where he stands now is called Norvrandt. Norvrandt only survived thanks to a savior they call the Oracle of Light, who stopped the flood from consuming the planet entirely. The hero also learns that the Crystal Tower here is in fact the same one from the source, and it appeared here in the past. The Crystarium as a city was built by people gathering around the tower and eventually settling here. After the tour, the hero meets the Crystal Exarch at the Ocular, his private study.
Now, I am sure you are desperate to know the fate of your fellow Scions.
He says all the Scions are here, but time flows differently here than it does on the source. They have all been here for a while, with Thancred surpassing 5 years now, but the more recent arrival, Alisaie, having been here nearly 1 year. He says he was only trying to summon the hero, but he grabbed the others by mistake. He says only the hero can use the Aetheryte to transfer between worlds, but the other Scions are stranded here. They spent their efforts trying to figure out how to send them back, but gave up once Urianger shared a vision of the future he had.
In his vision of tomorrow, the first was rejoined with the source. This collision of worlds brought about the 8th umbral calamity and the deaths of countless multitudes.
Even the hero was dead in this vision, so the Scions decided to stay in the first and work here to prevent the catastrophe. The hero agrees to aid in this fight, and the Crystal Exarch promises to find a way to return them home in the end. The Exarch then gives the hero a fairy named Feo Ul as a helper who can traverse the rift.
Come then, make your request, tell me your desire. I wish to visit this world of yours.
Then he shows the hero to his room at the inn.
I
I know you. You're the warrior of light from the source.
The hero is visited in his room by a ghost of the Warrior of Darkness. He is shocked that the hero can hear him speak, and tells him his real name is Ardbert. Ardbert says the Warriors of Darkness were deceived by Ascians and caused the Flood of Light.
I remember when we fell, defeated by you and yours. I remember our audience with Minfilia, how she listened to our pleas and returned our souls to the First.
He's been drifting here for the 100 years since the Flood, unable to effect any change. The hero tells him he was summoned to save the First, and Ardbert, though saying it's futile, hopes that this maybe will explain why he's been left to linger. The following morning, the Exarch pulls out a map and explains where the other Scions are.
Alphinaud is on Calusia, an island off the western shore. It is home to a city called Yulmore, where the rich and privileged while away their days in idleness. Alisaie, meanwhile, traveled south to the arid wastes of Armorang.
Thancred's whereabouts are unknown, and the other Scions are further away. The hero decides to travel to Calusia to seek out Alphinaud. The Exarch sends an escort with the hero who tells him that the city of Yulmore and the Crystarium are not on friendly terms, so he advises the hero to keep his ties to the Exarch a secret. Asking around about Alphinaud, the hero is directed to the village of Stilltide. At the tavern in Stilltide, they don't accept the hero's money, so he does them a quick favor to earn his keep. While the hero sits and enjoys his drink, Alphinaud enters.
"'Tis good to see you, my friend. It seems an age since last we spoke. Not since the prisoner exchange in Doma. And Yotsu.
Once the hero updates Alphinaud on everything that has transpired, Alphinaud says he is eager to return home, but they must save this world first to prevent the 8th Calamity back at the source. He says the 8th Calamity would be carried out via Black Rose, the Garlean's secret weapon, and that the rejoining requires that both worlds be facing an existential threat. Alphinaud suggests they head to the outskirts of Yulmore as their next step. On the road, they find a woman being attacked by a Sin Eater. After saving her, she says it's time to abandon her home and join the masses who live outside the gates of Yulmore. The hero and Alphinaud make their way to the gates of Yulmore.
This, meanwhile, is the aptly named Gate Town, the dwelling place of the many desperate souls who hope to be chosen to live in the city proper.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please!
The Jesters of Yulmore announce that they have a new opening in the city for a master culinarian. Alphinaud says that Yulmore is the city of final pleasures, where the privileged live out the end times in decadent abandon, while the poor scramble for opportunities like this to get in. The Jesters hand out small pieces of bread which the people scramble for. Once the Jesters are gone, Alphinaud expresses that this whole sham is a distraction and prevents people from uniting against the Sin Eaters. The hero makes conversation with the people here and finds them obsessed with finding a way into the city while barely scraping by outside. Alphinaud says he has a plan to get into the city so they can learn more about what's really going on here. As he describes the plan, which involves trading produce with a local beast tribe, an eavesdropper lurks around the corner. When the hero and Alphinaud show up to pick up the produce, they are told that someone else already did. They rush off and quickly find a man matching the description.
There you are. The thief who claimed the harvest on my behalf. Hand it over.
He falls on his knees and begs for forgiveness, saying he's starving and alone. His name is Kai Shear, and he's not interested in the Crystarium because his friends are already inside Yulmore. Alphinaud is merciful and decides to tell him the rest of his plan so he can get in.
This was but one path. There will be others. But for young Kai Shear, it was the difference between life and death.
In the distance, Alphinaud sees an injured man lying on the beach. They rush to him, tend to his injuries, and build a campfire for him. Once he recovers, he says he was an artist in Yulmore, but his patrons were displeased with his work. He went to Lord Vothry, who runs the city, and was thrown into the ocean. He says no one expresses any dissent toward Vothry, only agreement. The heroes escort him to a nearby village, and the painter gives Alphinaud a worn paintbrush. He says if he can convince people he's an artist, he might find a way into the city as his replacement. Alphinaud agrees to this plan, and says he'll claim that the hero is his assistant. They head to Gate Town and wait for the next trumpet. Sure enough, the jesters say they have room for a talented painter. Alphinaud steps forward with his brush and convinces them that he can paint well, but he must bring his assistant, the hero. It works, and they enter the city of Yulmore. As they enter and register for citizenship, the official at the desk takes offense at their body odor. She gives them a bottle of perfume and tells them to use the showers. With registrations approved, the hero and Alphinaud proceed to meet their patrons.
Oh, who's this then?
Lord and Lady Chai, pray forgive our intrusion. I am given to understand you are in search of an artist.
That silken hair, those pearly cheeks, oh, and you even smell wonderful, like a bed of flowers.
Yes. Well, as long as he paints better than that talentless wretch we sent packing last week.
Chai Nuz, the husband, asks why the artist needs an assistant.
Of all people, 'tis he who best understands my work. With his unique insight guiding my hand, the art I create is sure to satisfy your expectations.
They accept this response and tell the hero to feel free to explore the city. While exploring, the hero encounters an attendant hanging from a balcony. Upon rescuing him, he learns he was just trying to recover his mistress's handkerchief. The hero meets the mistress, and she says life here is perfect and free of conflict. She then directs the hero to visit a place they call the Beehive. He goes there and plays some card games and does a little dancing. Then a fellow citizen tells him that Yulmore wasn't always so peaceful, but everything changed 20 years ago when Vothri came to power. He says Vothri has a way to make Sin Eaters docile, and they aren't a threat to Yulmore. Returning to the Chai couple, the hero finds Alphinaud dressed in a new outfit they've given him. While he prepares to make his first painting, he quietly asks the hero to check out the lower levels of Yulmore. In the lower levels, the hero finds a weeping woman. She says she lives here as someone who can sing, but her voice is gone, and she can no longer sing. After finding there is no cure for her, her patron arrives and says it's time for her ascension. The hero has no idea what this is, but the singer acts like it's an extraordinary gift. The hero returns to Alphinaud, who also has no idea what this ascension might be. A horn blares, and the people of Yulmore are told that a villain is about to receive justice, and all are invited to attend.
That's him. That's Vothri. He's attended by Sin Eaters. But how does he keep them from attacking?
Alphinaud is horrified to find Kai Shir bleeding on the floor and demands an explanation from Lord Vothri.
Why? You ask me why? Because criminals must be punished. And this man is guilty of fraud.
Vothri says he demanded an offering of flesh from Kai Shir to feed the Sin Eaters, but Kai Shir couldn't do it. In defiance of Vothri, Alphinaud heals Kai Shir's wounds, insults the Lord directly, then leaves with Kai Shir, sending Vothri into a fit of rage.
I'll enslave their minds! Torment them! Torture them! And tear out their hearts!
Outside, Alphinaud says they've learned all they can anyway, and it's time they head back to the Crystarium. Lord and Lady Chai approach and beg him to stay, but he insists on leaving. Back at the Ocular, Alphinaud and the Exarch suggest you seek out Alisaie before proceeding any further. The hero makes the journey to Am-Arang, and the escort takes him to the town of Mordsuk. It's a trading town run by kobolds, but on the first, they are called Mords.
Very good, very good. Though friend or no, all are welcome in Mordsuk.
The escort says it's tradition to buy something while in Mordsuk, so the Exarch has provided a special coin to cover it.
Here, newcomer, crack your coin purse with me.
The hero browses the wares and makes a purchase. After this, he helps the escort with a few of his duties in town. Then the hero meets a friend of Alisaie's named Tesleen, who has heard so many things about the hero and is thrilled to meet him. The hero leaves with Tesleen, crossing the desert and killing coyotes along the way. They arrive at Journey's Head, and the hero observes afflicted people. Tesleen says Alisaie is out at the moment, so the hero roams around to find her.
I knew you'd turn up sooner or later, but I had been hoping for sooner.
After the hero updates her from his side, she gives her updates. She says she too wants to return home but is taking Urianger's vision very seriously and wants to stop the rejoining. She takes the hero to the edge of Norvrandt, where the flood was halted by the Oracle of Light, and explains the origin of the Sin Eaters. She says they were creatures or people caught in the path of the flood, and that the stronger ones can plant light in their victims, turning them into new Sin Eaters. Tesleen and the others have been at this frontier helping those afflicted live out their final days before becoming monstrosities themselves. After killing a few Sin Eaters together, the hero and Alisaie return to Tesleen. After helping Tesleen around the camp for a bit, Alisaie and the hero head to Mord Souk, but first Tesleen asks them to pick up a nectarine while they're out. At the market, the heroes get a nectarine, and then Alisaie takes the hero to the top of a tower. She shows the hero an opening in the wall of frozen light where you can see the wasteland on the other side. She says the nectarine will be poisoned and given to a boy named Halfric at the camp. He is already doomed to becoming a Sin Eater and wishes to die by means of his favorite food. Back at the camp, Tesleen takes the nectarine and says she's not ready to give up on Halfric just yet, and she wants the heroes to enjoy a nice meal.
In a place like this, you learn to take what moments of happiness you can get.
She says many people travel here to receive the mercy of a painless death.
It's never easy, ending a life you've cared for, even when you believe they go on to a better place.
As they continue idle chatter, something stirs.
Tesleen!
A boy named Halric has gone missing, so the three split up to look for him. After some fruitless searching, the hero and Alisaie regroup, then spot a powerful Sin Eater flying overhead.
Did you see the size of that thing? It must be one of the nasty ones.
Pursuing the powerful Sin Eater, Alisaie and the hero find it staring at Halric, but Tesleen jumps in to save him.
We all deserve happiness, wherever we can find it.
Alisaie and the other caregivers at the camp are in shock at the tragic loss of Tesleen, while Halfric remains silent. After some thought, Alisaie decides it's time to leave the camp and regroup at the Crystarium. Back at the Crystarium, the Exarch says the heroes now understand firsthand the problems faced by the First. He then tells them about Lightwardens, which are powerful Sin Eaters that lead the lesser ones.
Just as an ant colony will perish in the absence of its queen, we believe that the death of a Lightwarden will cause the lesser creatures within its sphere of influence to disperse.
He then conjures a magic projection to explain in more detail what's going on.
In the ancient past, a single star was divided into 14 worlds.
The heroes are from the source, but are now standing on the first. Now he says if one reflection, or shard, is experiencing an etheric imbalance, excess ether may pour into the source and exert influence.
If the element in question were fire, then drought and wildfires might ensue. If it were ice, one might expect the weather to turn bitterly cold.
But if this goes unchecked and something triggers a crack in the barrier between the worlds, the trickle becomes a deluge, rejoining the shard to the source while causing a calamity on the source. This has already happened 7 times, what was known as the 7 Umbral Calamities. The first shard is dangerously close to a rejoining, and ending the Lightwardens is the key to preventing this. Just then, Lena the gatekeeper barges in.
Forgive the interruption, my lord, but Holminster Switch is requesting reinforcements.
The heroes immediately head to the village of Holminster Switch. Outside the village, Lena warns that if you slay a Lightwarden, its ether does not dissipate. Instead, it will enter the nearest vessel, which will then be transformed into a new Lightwarden. The Crystal Exarch insists that the heroes proceed anyway. The heroes enter Holminster Switch and slay an army of Sin Eaters, including Tesleen herself. At the center of the village, they encounter and slay the Lightwarden.
It's releasing its ether! Fall back!
But the Exarch says the Warrior of Light can contain it without being corrupted. For the first time in over 100 years, the people of Lakeland witness the night sky.
What's happening?
The night sky. As it should be.
Who are you people?
The Exarch kneels before the hero.
You have vanquished the Lightwarden of Lakeland, and for the first time in a century, darkness has returned to the mantle of night.
After honoring the hero, he says the work is not finished, as the other regions of Norvrandt are still plagued by Lightwardens. He then reminds the others that despite appearances, he's a very old man and must return to the tower.
Come then, my warriors of darkness. Let us gather the surviving villagers and make our way back to the Crystarium.
They agree to keep the identity of the Warrior of Darkness hidden as to not cause chaos when the hero is in town. Alisaie stays behind, wishing to pay respects to Tesleen, while the others return to the Crystarium.
So it's your lot's turn to be the Warriors of Darkness, is it? It's funny how things work out.
Ardbert says he's been following the hero and has seen everything he's done. He advises him to keep his friends close and speaks of his own regrets. Back in the Source, while Estinian infiltrates an Imperial facility, he runs into Shadowhunter.
When the alarm sounded, I wondered what we had done to betray our presence. But I see now we are not the only intruders.
After some discussion, they become unlikely allies, since they are both here to stop Black Rose, and Shadowhunter's crew has already finished the job. But he says they have built more facilities already, and there is still work to be done.
Since it would seem we seek the same answers, you are welcome to join us.
Shadowhunter says he's headed to Garlemald to witness the claims of Ascian influence firsthand. The next morning, the hero returns to the Ocular after learning that Yulmore has dispatched its military to Lakeland. Then an emissary knocks, and the Exarch pulls the heroes aside, turning them invisible before allowing the emissary to enter.
Enter? Well, well. The commander of the Yulmoran army himself. To what do I owe the honor, General Ranjit?
He demands to know if the Crystarium was involved in the recent death of a Lightwarden. Without answering, the Exarch defiantly responds that the Crystarium rejoices in the Lightwarden's death and welcomes the night sky. Ranjit says their efforts are futile and the only way to live out the end times in peace is to join Yulmore.
But I waste my breath. You have made your stance clear. I shall relay your words to Lord Vorthry. One last matter. We are searching for a young artist and his assistant. Know you of whom I speak?
The Exarch says he knows no artist, then Ranjit appears to look directly at the hero. Once he's gone, Lena says Yulmore has taken Minfilia prisoner. The heroes are startled by the mention of that name, and the Exarch refers them to the bookkeeper for more info while he prepares for war. The bookkeeper recounts the tale of Minfilia. He says that, over a century ago, a mysterious woman named Minfilia appeared and stopped the flood of light, saving Norvrandt. But since then, a succession of young girls bearing her resemblance have been born, all of which immune to the Sin Eater's touch and coming to be named Minfilia. For generations, they have joined the Yulmoran army to fight the Sin Eaters, but with Yulmor joining the Sin Eaters, Yulmor sought out and imprisoned the current Minfilia. Later, she was rescued by an unknown hero and now recaptured by Yulmor. After listening to this tale, the twins fill in some gaps. Alphinaud says the one who rescued her is in fact Thancred, whose whereabouts are still unknown. Alisaie says the Minfilia known from the source was sent to the First by Hydaelyn to save it, and she is the same original Minfilia from the tale, arriving here 100 years ago as time flows on the First. The heroes agree the next step is to rescue the current Minfilia. The Exarch, Lena, and other leaders of the Crystarium approach. The Exarch says, in his heart he is ready to fight, but he doesn't want to jeopardize all they've built. He opens the floor for discussion.
It brought tears to our eyes to witness the knight's return. The whole of Norvrandt deserves the same, and not just because some children's story tells us so.
Rousing words apart, I never much cared for those Yulmoran bastards anyway. No better than common swindlers, most of them. Wouldn't know a fair deal if it came up and kissed them on the arse.
Trust you to spoil the moment.
And so it is decided, the Crystarium will rally against Yulmor to rescue Minfilia and grant her a home. Lena's plan is to fly over the enemy camp and drop sleeping powder before going in. The heroes drink an antidote in advance, and also feed it to the flying mounts that will be used to dispense the powder.
Keep moving!
The heroes, dressed in Crystarium military garb, enter the conflict. They find Minfilia, give her weapons, and begin the escape. Moments later, Ranjit himself appears to face the heroes. Ranjit manages to overpower the heroes, then recognizes Alphinaud as the wanted artist.
Thancred?
Break!
The Exarch says the Crystarium is ready to receive Yulmor's army, and he says he dare not go where the heroes just went.
Ilmeg, the Fairy Kingdom.
Even the most pointless of conflicts may alter a world's course. And now the plan has gone awry. But how? How did the so-called Crystal Exarch bring the hero of the source to the First?
But the lurking Ascian seems to have a new plan. The heroes begin to calm down as they enter Ilmeg, the Fairy Kingdom.
It's good to see you again, my friends. I don't know about you, but it feels like years since last we met. 5 of them in my case.
Thancred explains he was out hunting with Minfilia when she wandered off and got kidnapped by Yulmor, but he saw the Crystarium on the move and seized the opportunity to get her back. He says the Exarch gave them 2 tasks for Ilmeg: unite with Urianger and eliminate the Lightwarden. When asked, Minfilia says the reason she wandered off was to meet the Warrior of Light, but Thancred cuts her off and scolds her harshly.
Come now, put away that frown and have some fun with us!
The heroes soon realize the fairies are already playing tricks with their minds.
Let's have some fun, lots and lots of fun!
Shadowbringers Part 1 ends there. If you want to see what happens next, check out the story video for Shadowbringers Part 2. See you next time.